Stock markets in the Western world have recorded fresh all-time highs over the past week. However, we have seen a bit of a pullback over the past few sessions. Hi there everyone, welcome to the Traders Circle Weekly Market Update. Today is Tuesday the 23rd of July 2024, and before I get started, you do need to be aware that whatever I say is general advice only, and you have to consider whether it's appropriate for you. So like I said, we saw fresh highs in many Western markets. We saw the US markets, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq reach new highs. We saw our own XJO reach fresh all-time highs as well. There were fresh all-time highs in many markets around the world. And really it comes after US markets have received everything they could ask for. They're expecting to see a soft economic landing. We're expecting to see US rate cuts in September, or starting in September. We're expected to see company earnings growth remain strong. Inflation's expected to come back under control. We're expected to get a market-friendly president at some point later this year. But all in all, anything the market could ask for, it has received. Now, some of these things might be mutually exclusive, whether inflation comes under control and we see a soft economic landing, but company earnings still grow, for example. Regardless of whether or not it can all be achieved, markets are happy to keep buying up, at the moment at least, on the belief that it will all be achieved. Now, I just want to caveat by saying I still think there's caution to be had. When markets have rallied on a series of positive news items, sometimes you need further positivity or further positive news items to keep driving things a bit higher. I'm just not too sure where that might come. We also have the US company earnings reporting season. It's been a bit mixed so far. This one is expected to not be that strong, and so it might be an easy season to get good results from. It's the next earnings season that I think will be the worry, where earnings are expected to grow quite a lot between now and then. And like I said, in an environment where inflation is expected to fall, I'm not sure that can be achieved. But regardless, the momentum is to the upside, investors are optimistic, and everyone's happy to press buy for now. We've got a big fortnight ahead for the Australian market though. Probably the biggest event of this month will come next week with the Australian CPI or inflation data for the second quarter of 2024. That is expected to show inflation remaining fairly sticky. The RBA will be looking at the trimmed mean CPI, trimmed mean inflation data. They're expecting it, at least in May, they're expecting it to come in at 3.8%. And really that wouldn't have fallen for the past sort of 3 or 4 months. If that comes in a little bit stronger, we start to consider whether we'll get another rate rise. And the following week we will have the RBA's August rate decision meeting. If the trimmed mean CPI comes in probably around 4% or higher, I think there's a real chance we see another rate rise from the RBA at the August meeting. Recent Australian economic data has been fairly strong. We saw fairly strong retail sales recently. We saw a fairly strong jobs report with more jobs created than expected. In fact, unemployment only rose because we had a jump in participation and a lot of people coming into the workforce. And the most recent CPI data, last month's monthly CPI data, was also very strong. So overall, the Australian economic situation is pointing towards inflation remaining fairly sticky. And if next week's reading shows that, then the RBA's August meeting in the first week of August really is a live one for a potential rate rise. So all of this data will have a big effect on the Australian market over next week and the week after. And in the week after as well, that first week of August, we're also going to see the start of the Australian company earnings reporting season. So that's the week when the first of our big companies report earnings. Well, actually, probably the second and third and fourth and so on of our big companies report earnings, because Rio Tinto actually reports next week. It's an early mover. It will report next week, I believe on the 31st. Of July. So that'll be an important one as well, given that the Australian iron ore miners have been under a bit of pressure with iron ore prices coming off over the past sort of 6 months or so. So earnings is the final topic I wanted to discuss. Like I mentioned, we currently are in a US earnings season. Expectations are fairly low for this season, and so that lowered mark seems like it's going to be an easier mark to beat. But they are expecting fairly strong earnings next quarter. And if companies don't provide strong forward guidance, we could see a bit of profit taking in the US, and I think that's what we've seen for the past 3 sessions. And like I said, our own company earnings reporting season kicks off over the next week to 2 weeks, starting with Rio on the 31st, and then the majority of the rest of the market reports from the first week of August onwards. When trading or investing at the current time, if you're doing a stock-specific trade, make sure you check the company's reporting calendar. Type in, the stock code and key dates, or investor calendar, or financial calendar. And if you are trading over a report, just consider the effect that might have on your trade. So let's have a look at the charts for this week, guys. This is the XJO, and we can see it made a fresh all-time high last week. We came down to the previous all-time high at roughly 7,900, and we held that as support. We do have a bit of upwards momentum, and that is after breaking, through the resistance level, and that suggests at least going back to where we were last week, our all-time high at 80 index points roughly. For us to get there, we will need to see continued strength in the US. Our market, I don't think, has enough optimism to do it by itself. And if we look at the US market, they've done something very, very similar over the past fortnight. They've broken through their resistance level at 5,500. They've gone up to a new level at 5,670 roughly. And then they've come back and they've tested that previous resistance level as support, also potentially where an uptrend line is. Overnight, they showed a fairly bullish bar, and that bar would probably indicate a move towards 5670. What we're now looking for is whether they exceed that level, whether they stop out in line with that level, or whether they stop out below that level. If it's an inline peak, we're looking for a double top. If it breaks that level, it's a continuation of the uptrend. And if it's a lower peak, it could be a sign of a turnaround. So all of these, just the things that we'll be looking for over the coming sessions. So I will wrap it up there for this week, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what stock you're keeping an eye on this earnings season. And I hope you guys will click the like and subscribe button, because it does really help us out a lot. Bye for now.